What's up, my crypto legends? In this episode, I got a very special guest. His name is James. He is from Stock Guru YouTube channel. If you don't follow him now, make sure to follow him. The link is down in the description. He's been years in the crypto space and he knows a lot about Bitcoin and the crypto industry. James, how are you doing today?
I'm doing good, Jack. Hello, Bitcoinsensus people. Your amazing channel, and I'm glad that I'm getting to speak to you today live. It's beautiful.
Absolutely. Where are you based right now?
Right now, I'm in Dubai, on the beach, actually, which is very nice to do an interview from my phone. The power of crypto is amazing.
Very nice, very nice. Well, James, I know I've been following your channel now for quite a while, and I know you have a lot of information on crypto. You do technical analysis, you give news. So one of the most important questions, I think, is where do you see Bitcoin going, I guess? What do you think is going to happen to Bitcoin in the next coming months?
So I'll just give you like my understanding of the fundamental space. So all the investors that I see around the area, I've been in a lot of conferences recently. A lot of the conferences here in Dubai have been going on. And I'm going to give you it from the fundamental space, and then I'll show you in the TA where I think it's going to go, which both support each other actually, which is very beautiful. So fundamentally, and what I've been told by a lot of the kind of whales that people talk about, or the people that are moving the markets, they've got a target for $92,000 for Bitcoin, which matches with the technicals, which I'll show you soon. The target is 92,000 within the next month. They're saying this within the next month that we're going to 92,000. At this point, they recommend from just the people in the contacts and the people I've been speaking to start, and I agree with this, that there's going to be a blow off top for maybe 1 day, maybe 4 hours, but we're going to spike up to 110. But at the $92,000 Bitcoin price, start exiting your Bitcoin and your alt positions. This is what I've been seeing and hearing and understanding around the space.
Okay.
Then we're going to spike up to 110. We're going to have a big pullback after this. It's going to be fear of heights. After the 100K mark, people are going to just fear of heights. There's so much money. They got 100,000 per Bitcoin now. They're going to say it's just a big round number that I think people are going to have a fear of heights about. Then we're going to have a huge quick spike correction down to 70,000. Which is beautiful. It's going to rally at 7,000, have a dead cat bounce, and then we're going to 40,000. And what I've been seeing and hearing about the space is that we're going to spend almost 1 year fluctuating around the $40,000 mark for Bitcoin. So this will be our 1 year bear market, which is much better than the 2017-18 bear market, where we went up to 20,000, then we came down to 3,000 for 3 years. And it's still amazing to be at 10x, which is still, and that's also logical. Like 10x in just 1.5 years is quite. So if we do base at the 40,000, that's still quite an amazing growth, 1,000%. So that's what my plan and my strategy for Bitcoin fundamentally. And Bitcoin's going to rally. It's going to go to 92. It's going to spike, and then the alts will have a quick follow after. But at the 92K, I'm going to not be too greedy and start exiting my positions, getting ready to buy back down at that $40,000-$50,000 mark. I won't sell all my Bitcoin though, because I've got Bitcoin that I've been mining since 2012, and I'm going to keep a stash of this always, but I will exit some of my bigger positions there. But depending on the TA, I'm going to still monitor the TA as we get there. If the technicals are telling me something different, then I'll react differently. But this is like kind of what I see happening on the technicals and what I see happening in the fundamentals and just the builders and the crypto experts within the space.
Wow, that's great. So kind of insider information right from the big money. Yeah,
it's just what I've realized. It's like what all the Bitcoin kind of conferences and all the meetups and stuff like this, usually in Dubai, and these kind of like meetups with the financial summit and stuff. These are the people that were very early in the crypto space. So they're automatically the whales. Anyone that was like very, very early in the space is the whales that are moving the market.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I really believe my long-term prediction for Bitcoin is what Hal Finney said back in 2000. If you were on the forums in 2010, Bitcoin forums, that the end goal is all money on earth, all assets will be on the blockchain, on the Bitcoin blockchain. So $10 million per Bitcoin is the long-term target. So don't get too spooked out at the 40, the 70, the 100. These are like still very small numbers. If you have one Bitcoin in the long term, you're going to be like the financial elite in the future.
Yeah, it's, and this won't be, I guess, in 20, 30 years. It might be in 10 years. So it's time goes really, really fast with Bitcoin, doesn't it? Really, it's only been existing for 10 years, and it's just gone from a cent to what the price now, which is at about 62,
more than $1 trillion.
Yeah, it's insane. So in 10 years, where can it be? It could easily go to 10 million, definitely, in my opinion also. So you said you think that it might be spiking to around about that 110K. And we're going to, do you see this bear market? Are we going to start picking up till the next halving, like in 2024? Or is it going to still
I think it'll be sooner. I think it's going to be for 2022. We're going to be sitting at the 40,000 area, fluctuating around there. And then after this, we're going to start moving up again very strongly. But again, TA is always changing. The space is like, this is the fastest space ever. So it's going to always keep.
Exactly. It's like the C19 crash from last year. Nobody was actually expecting this kind of movement to the downside. But so everything can change. I mean, the markets change every day, right? So.
Exactly. So I'll jump into TA and I'll show you on the TA side of things.
Yeah.
Beautiful. So I'm going to share my screen. Okay, so these are my charts that I'm looking at on TradingView, and I'll show you some of the alts that I'm also interested in the later, like what we're talking about. This is Bitcoin right now, and I just want to point out to my audience, like we were buying Bitcoin. If you followed my videos, like the last week, we're actually buying Bitcoin here at the 59, which was beautiful. So this is the $92,000 target, and I'm going to show you on the fundamentals what we talked about, but I want to put out some key like features. So this is on the daily. So this is Bitcoin USDT on the daily candlestick. So each candlestick, everyone, is 1 day. Yeah. So the main thing that I'm seeing here is if we were buying Bitcoin at 9,000 earlier, if you followed from a long time, I sold it up here. I actually warned everyone of a waterfall sell-off at 55,000. We rebought everything at 29,000. I sold everything at 53, and then I've been rebuying and trading up from the 40. Now, what you're seeing here is a giant symmetrical wedge, and this has been pointed out on a. Oh, let me see if I can pull up. I'm going to draw in this wedge just so this giant triangle here is a symmetrical wedge, which most people know about. Huge wedge, the way they work, build pressure, and explode to the direction of the trend to this distance here of the base of the wedge. And as you can see, this distance where what I'm drawing is here, the base of this wedge. And once we broke out of this symmetrical wedge, it gives us this target of the 93,000. So that's the main area we're getting the targets from. Another key thing that I want all the audience and everyone watching to pay attention to is volume. So as you can see on Bitcoin, always volume predicts price. So here we had like very little back in 2020. It was still huge volume, but it was quite small. And then in 2021, we just went crazy with the volume. And it's like volume, everyone who knows TA, it's like the volume on your speakers. So the more these lines down here, the more they're spiking, the more people are trading Bitcoin, buying and selling Bitcoin. And I usually have a saying, volume predicts price, because the more people that are interested buying and selling, usually it means the price is going to go up because they're just more interested in it. Another key feature that we have is, let me just put my phone on focus mode. Another key feature that we have is this MA cross, moving average cross. And I want to point that out because this is one that's very important on the MA. The last time we had MA cross to the upside was down here at the 33,000. We had the moving average cross and we went all the way up to 53,000. Then we had the moving average cross here and we came down to the 39,000. And here we had the next moving average. And from that time, this is when a lot of my audience bought into Bitcoin here again, when we broke out of this descending wedge, this little triangle here. This one here, this is a descending wedge. Everyone that knows TA, this trend line that Bitcoin bounced quite strongly off here at this 59,000. We also have a lot of support here because when we were coming up the last few days, it tried to break through 59, tried to break through, and it took a while. It took about 4 days to break through it. And then we just exploded to the 67. So this area here is huge support. So I actually added a lot of long positions at this 59,000, which was beautiful. These were my longs that I opened. But let me get rid of that so just we can show on the trades. And we're above the EMA ribbons, and that's where I'm going. And I want to go on to the longer term timeframes, because on the longer term timeframes, this is the entire time frame of Bitcoin USDT on Bybit. I use Bybit because Bybit, it's one of the biggest exchanges in the world for trading Bitcoin. But the main reason is it doesn't have liquidation spikes. And liquidation spikes are when you have, like, for example, in 1 day, the price of Bitcoin moves from like 60,000 down to 53,000. And on Bybit, we don't have those liquidation spikes. That's why I like using it a lot. And on the monthly, you can see the RSI and the stochastic, they're turning up quite strongly, and the stochastic not overbought. Also on the weekly, when we zoom out, and you get a better picture here of the volume. There's so much volume coming on when we look at this on the monthly candles, each candle 1 month. And on the weekly, it's looking even better. The RSI and the stochastic turning up very strongly, heading up, and the volume coming in. So we're looking actually quite beautiful here. Now, if we get rejected at the 67 again, this would be not so nice. Then it's a double top. We have this all-time high, and we come up, we broke through again. If we get rejected here again at 67, then most likely it's a double top and we could come down to the 45. But I do believe we're having this giant symmetrical wedge play out where we go to this 92,000. Once we hit there, my target is the 92, then we come back down. And this is what supports the fundamentals. We come to the 92, and then in January in this, we come down, bounce off this 70,000 and the dead cat bounce. And then we come back to this main trend line, which is sitting at the $50,000 region. And that's what I think in the long term is going to happen for Bitcoin. And for today, what I think is going to happen for Bitcoin in the next, for today in the next few days, is where we bounce quite strongly off this this trend line at the 59, and we created a V shape. So we created a V-shaped recovery, which is this one here. So a V-shaped recovery here. And what we also did is we're creating a head and shoulders. Shoulder, head, and shoulder is forming. In my opinion, that sends us up to 67,000. And that's just forming the head and shoulders. Once we break that neckline of the 67,000, we move to the base of the head and shoulder, which would send us this distance here, from here to here, which sends us up to the $74,000 mark in the next run. But we have, in my opinion, we have a big resistance at the $70,000 area also. So that's what I think is going to be happening for Bitcoin for the immediate short term and for the longer term. If you go into the hourly for the next day, I feel like we're forming this shoulder. So we are going to attempt. So as you can see here, it's a bit clearer to see this head and shoulder formation. We're above the EMA ribbons, and we've got this shoulder, head, shoulder forming. Once we break this neckline, that 67,000 is the target on the smaller time frame on the hourly. So if you're panicking here selling your Bitcoin, I don't think that's the best option. The best, in my opinion, is to be adding to your position to go to the 63,000 and then that $67,000 mark.
I mean, thank you very much for sharing your knowledge and the charts on Bitcoin. Before we wrap up this interview, any altcoins that you got for my community that you think are going to do very well in the next few months?
I want to just shout out to everyone who's been watching you, or maybe you saw CRV, but for the last 2 weeks, I've been calling CRV. And if you check the chart, CRV is just, it doubled from this $2. I think we're calling it at $2.50. It went up to $5 today, which was beautiful. I had huge long opens. My whole audience did. All the Stockeroos were in a Discord. There's like 5,000 of us in there, which is a giant party in there. And yeah, we all were longing CRV and adding a lot of spot positions. So spot is, for any of your audience that doesn't yet know, spot is when you buy the crypto directly. Longing is when you open a contract on a trade to try and do leverage trade on the. So we had a lot of CRV long positions and spot positions, which just really stacked up and was beautiful for all of us. And I still believe CRV is the reason. I'll show you on the charts in a minute, but the reason I believe CRV is one of my favorites is because if you look at the total value locked, so CRV is a staking lending protocol, a DeFi, decentralized lending. And CRV has almost $17 billion locked in staking. $17 billion.
Wow.
Yes. 17 billion. And this, when I started to see these numbers, and I noticed no one was talking about this. Bank of America talked about this. They have a kind of analysis, an analyst in Bank of America that released a document that they're paying attention to it, and everyone should be, because 17 billion is not a small amount of money. All the crypto space, the people from the crypto space have put in $17 billion into this protocol. And do you know what the market cap of CRV right now? When we bought it at $2.50, it was 1 billion. Now I think it's sitting around the 1.7 billion.
Or so, yeah.
So it's got $17 billion locked in this protocol, but it's only valued at the moment at 1.7 billion, the total market cap. And that's why I'm very impressed with this crypto. I'll show you on the charts, and then I'm going to show you my second favorite altcoin. And this one, I believe, has a long way to run. It's a Radium protocol. I called it out to my audience at $6.90. Now we're sitting at around $11. Today I had some mega spikes up to almost $12, but it's now sitting at around $11. Radium protocol is a decentralized exchange, a DEX on the Solana ecosystem. And that's what's so powerful, because Solana, everyone knows what's been happening to Solana, now sitting at the 200 plus range. I called that Solana to my audience at around $40, which is also very beautiful. But Solana is going, the reason it's taking over so strongly is because they have capped fees at 1 cent. Solana's ecosystem is capped fees at 1 cent with very fast transaction speeds. So, and a lot of the builders, a lot of my friends that are early in the space that are building technologies on the blockchain, they love the Solana ecosystem because it's actually usable. You can make micro transactions. You can send someone across the world $1 worth of a currency. You can set up if you try to set up smart contracts now on Ethereum, it's ridiculous, the gas fees. Each transaction can range from $10 to $300. So Ethereum has this blockage right now. It's kind of got like it's getting like a block at the moment. So Solana came out, and that's why Solana went crazy, because people seeing Solana as the potential one that could dominate, because it has one very, very fast transaction speeds, and it has, I think it's 400,000 transactions per second at the moment. I'm pretty sure the devs have got it to. And it's got 1 cent capped transaction fees, 1 cent capped. So that makes it very usable for a lot of machine transactions between companies, between insurance companies. They can do micro transactions with very low fees. So those are my two favorites. So I'll jump into the charts and I'll show you Radium and Solana and why I'm buying those. CRV, and Radium. This was Bitcoin having a little bit of pullback the last hour actually, but creating a reversal kind of pattern, a reversal doji. But here we've got CRV, which again, I just want to rank them by percentage gain. Let's rank all the assets by percentage gain. A lot of these are actually my favorites. These are like my favorite assets that I'm constantly, the whole stock guru, the whole community is actively trading. There's around 75,000 of us trading these specific altcoins and cryptos. And CRV now is sitting at $4.90, which is beautiful. We were buying it here just a few weeks ago at $2.40, around $2.40 range. So it's up 100%, which is beautiful. And these are my targets for CRV. So the key things to take away, I'll zoom out to the daily, is one that its previous all-time high for CRV. It actually, when it first ICO'd, it ICO'd at $22.
Yeah, I remember.
When it first came out, it actually came out at $22. So that automatically, in my opinion, just gives it a long, long way to run. Then we also formed this giant W. This is on the daily candles. So each of these candles are every 1 day. We're forming this giant W formation that we need to break the neckline. Once we break that, and we already did, the last few days, we actually broke that neckline. And once we break the neckline, that's the target of the $7.80. So the key things that take away from this is the huge volume. We have a lot of volume coming in, and always volume predicts price again. The RSI and the stochastic on the daily, because we've had this big run recently, they are slightly overbought at the moment, the RSI and the stochastic on the daily charts. They are overbought. They're up above the dotted lines, but the squeeze mob is still going to the green side. But the forming of this W formation, we broke this kind of symmetrical wedge that I talked about. This one, symmetrical wedge, which I explained how it works before. So that was the $3.90 target, which hit all those targets. It was about 2 weeks ago where I pointed out. So we're around $2.40, and now we're sitting at $4.90, which is awesome. I have a bunch of longs and huge spot positions. It's actually one of my biggest holdings now, CRV, across different exchanges. But why I'm very interested in CRV still now is because right now you can see this giant W that CRV is trying to break through the neckline. This one here, this giant W that's breaking the neckline. If we break that neckline, we go this distance. So it's got a huge potential distance to move, and that's why I'm still liking CRV as an amazing long. And that distance, if we break this neckline, this one here, which we already broke actually, the target is $8.90 actually up here. So, but what I'm going to do, what I'm going to do is sell positions at previous highs. So here I will sell some of my position for a bounce back, and then I'll buy it after it bounces back, because I never like leaving everything long in case it hits a resistance and then comes back down for a few weeks. I'd rather maximize, get that sale at the $5.60, then rebuy it after it retests and comes back through, and then take to the $7. Once it gets to $7.80, again, sell it off the bounce back, the rejection, rebuy it on the low to go back up to the $8.80. And then the longer term target is all the way up here at the $23 range. The all-time high. And that will give it a valuation of around 7 billion. And in my opinion, that's in line with a protocol that's currently holding $17 billion in cash. They're holding $17 billion in people staking. And people don't move their staking money. It's very rare that when they're earning good percentages, they're very rarely moving their staking. So that's why I'm very interested in CRV right now. And this was the spike. This was just the last 2 days of candles. We went from, or the last 4 days, we went from $2.90 all the way to $5.30, which was just beautiful gains for my audience, which I love. And in the next few days, what I see happening to CRV is really we're hitting that $5.60 because the volume, look at this volume coming in on the 4-hourly candles. It's just huge volume coming in. And the stochastic RSI overbought, heading up stronger. So in my opinion, we are going to go to that 560. I'm going to sell some of the position there, because usually what happens when you get to these kind of highs is you bounce off, and I'll rebuy here again, for that $7.80 target, which is going to be beautiful. And the next one that I really like, also Facebook. I'm also stock guru, so I'm not just all cryptos like everyone else. I also buy Facebook, alts, stocks, and Facebook is one of my favorite for big caps. If you have more than 1 million, more than 10 million, it's also always good to be diversified. Yeah. And Facebook, I bought huge amounts of Facebook recently, and Facebook just yesterday announced a 30% increase in their revenues on their quarter. And it got hit hard recently for Facebook. So if anyone's got a large amount of capital, I believe today when Facebook opens in pre-market, we're going to open up like 10% or maybe even 20% in the positive. So everyone pay attention. If you watch this video today, pay attention to Facebook. Try and get in pre-market. But I believe as soon as pre-market opens, the big institutions are going to just buy up Facebook and it's going to spike up. And the next alt that I really love is Radium Protocol. So this one was the one I pointed out quite a few months ago down here at $6.90. We're around here buying Radium. It was actually a bit longer ago. It was in, I think, here, back in August. We're at $6.90. We went all the way up to $16. Then we had that mini bear market in September. We came down to $9, bounced to $11. And you can see that the $9.50 area is a very support for Radium Protocol. Yeah. So my target for Radium, it's the biggest exchange on Solana. And Solana now is one of the biggest cryptocurrencies in the entire market. Yeah. I think it's in the top 10 now, right? Or even top 5. And so this is what I want to point out on Radium. Yes,
definitely top 10.
And this is what I wanted to show, that on Solana's ecosystem, it's the biggest DEX. We had that spike up to $16. Then we came down after that spike. We came down after the spike. And in my opinion, we're forming a giant wedge, this one, a descending wedge that already broke out. So again, descending wedges, technical pattern. I have a course if anyone also wants to learn. It's stockguru.us/crypto. I have more than 4,000 students taking my crypto course, which is beautiful if anyone wants education. And maybe we do some cool deal with the audience where they get like 30% off the course for anyone that hasn't got the course. So this is a descending wedge, builds, and the same kind of concept, builds pressure, builds pressure, builds pressure. Once it breaks out to the base of the triangle. So we have huge targets for Radium. In my opinion, Radium is about to go. It's already gone on a huge run, if like anyone that was buying at the $6.90. But that base for Radium is quite huge. And we already broke out. As you can see, Radium already broke out. So the targets for Radium are the 17, back to that all-time high. And again, I've been tracking Radium for a while, so I've got a lot of different lines everywhere. But again, we've got this W similar formation as CRV, this giant W formation that already is trying to break the neckline. $11.90 will break the neckline. And I want to show something cool. Today, just a few hours ago on Radium, literally just a few hours before, a few hours before, look at this spike up that happened on Radium. This was a 1 hour candle. Radium went from $10.70, it spiked up to $11.49. Look at the volume that happened. There was a huge buy and then a huge sell. Yes. So in my opinion, someone just accumulated, market bought a lot of Radium ready for a big movement. And you can see this W formation forming. Exactly. And the target, I've got alerts set. These dotted lines are alerts where my trading view will just notify me if it hits that price. So the alert fired, it hit that alert, and then it came back straight away. So I didn't have enough time to close it on that alert. But my alert was almost exact. And that's why I like to close my positions on alerts for ththese big pullbacks, then rebuy again for that. So then I just stack up but you got to be very actively trading and pretty aware of what's happening in the markets. Yeah. So those are my 2 favorite alts. I know that was quite a lot of
information, but anyway, great. That's absolutely great. Yes. Anyway, let's wrap it up here then, because we've done, I think, over a 20-minute interview, but absolutely. Thank you very much for sharing your knowledge on Bitcoin and on these altcoins, James. I hope we can get another interview going in the next, I don't know, a few weeks or maybe a few months. So
it'll be awesome to cross collaborate all the time. Absolutely. We'll be the Da Vinci and MM Crypto of the. Yeah, they always have cross collaborations.
It's always great to do it. So anyway, James, thank you very much. Have a great day, and I will see you in the next one.
Thank you, Jack, and thank you all Bitcoinsensus people. And see you again soon.
Thank you. Remember, guys, the link is down in the description. See you later.